Two of Accra's most popular suburbs, known for their many shacks and haphazard layout and development, are set to undergo redevelopment to transform them into modern cities. Nima and Mamobi, according to Works and Housing Minister Samuel Atachia, will see massive transformation under the slum upgrading program. He has been giving details about the plan at a news conference here in Accra. Ernest Menu has more.
Ghana's housing deficit is estimated at 2 million. The situation, according to experts, is largely accountable for the development of illegal structures in the country. The Works and Housing Ministry, however, attributes the growing incidence of slum development to rural-urban migration, limited supply of land, amongst others. In a bid to address the issue, some areas in the capital are being redeveloped to provide more decent accommodation for many. Nima and Mamobi are key on the agenda.
The whole engineering and what they want to do will be presented to the next cabinet for consideration. Immediately they give us the green light, we'll proceed with it. Yes, we just bring in the developers. And then if they are ready to do it, they start. What you normally do is that you build for the citizens first, so then you can move them. But we do a whole sensitization and orientation so that they come to terms with the fact that we are here to improve their lot. So this year is a major year to start this project.
Government has also introduced the one constituency, one Akufo-Addo flat, expected to provide housing units in all 275 constituencies to augment other housing projects being built across the country.
We are also anticipating that this year we will start the Akufo-Addo flats in the constituencies. Plans are afoot to do that. I do not see how we can do the business of giving our people places to dwell without creating land banks. A vast majority of members of parliament have secured lands for purposes of providing affordable housing units in various constituencies of the country. This will be the launch pad of the Akufo-Addo flats across the length and breadth of the country. It is gratifying to note that traditional overlords have shown commitment to the wiping out of the deficit and have donated lands for housing undertakings. We are grateful to Tumfor Osei-Tutu II, the Asante Hene, for donating 100-acre land lying, being, and situated at Dedieso in Kumasi to meet. How's it pronounced? The Desuya. Yes, I was pronouncing the Asante well like an Acheman. The Desuya in Kumasi to meet the acute needs. I think other traditional overlords will emulate this example.
Meanwhile, if you don't live in your own house or do not own one, you must have some unpleasant experience with estate agents, from paying between 5 to 10% of your 2 years rent advance or being duped completely by some of these guys. Well, this may be good news for you if it's fully implemented. The Works and Housing Ministry is reviewing the real estate law to regulate the activities of these agents.
No, these are agents in estate development. That is, and they don't pay tax, and they can rip you off and the rest of it. That's why we're trying to deal with real estate law. And in it, all real estate agents will have to be registered.
Now, out there in Nima and Mamobi, there's been mixed reactions to news that the two areas are to be redeveloped. While some residents appear to welcome the plan, there are others who are very skeptical about the feasibility of the intended exercise. JoyNews' Komladom reports the residents are demanding details of the redevelopment plan.
A slum of hopeful dwellers. Tens of thousands of people squeezed together in one of Accra's most popular an haphazardly planned settlement. Many houses here do not have toilets, and so many residents use public toilets and shared bathrooms. But according to the Ministry of Works and Housing, the story of Nima will soon change. Nima is expected to be regenerated and redesigned into a modern settlement. On a compound with as many as 12 tenants here in the center of a slum, there's very minimal activity. Some tenants are preparing the evening's meal. Madame Yakubu is owner of this property. She says the decision to redevelop the slum is welcome, though she has some questions.
It's a very good idea, all right, but how is the government going to do all these things? That's my question. They have to talk to the owners and then find a solution to it. Okay. Because they have to balance it. The government must come in and then they also have to sacrifice.
She's one of many residents and property owners here who are asking for a clear, drawn-out plan so they are not disadvantaged.
Most of the time they will say this and then at the end of the day, you are supposed to pay something again. Meanwhile, you own your own property without any problem. And then they say they are coming to help you at the end of the day. If you don't have money to pay, then that is it for you.
Mohammed lives in this family house handed down to them by their great-grandparents. He and Abdul are skeptical about the feasibility of this project.
To move people from here to another place to be difficult for Nima here.
Why would it be difficult?
Because we have been living here for these whole years. So I don't think it will be possible. We wake up here, come see our grandfathers. They are the people who are living here and they have born our mothers, they are born us. So that's the same environment we are living in. So as if they can do, it will be better. We also will like it, but I don't think maybe it will be possible they can do it.
They know that settlements are improperly planned with pathways leading into and out of homes, as well as poor drainage in some parts. But they want more education to be able to get the consent of residents and homeowners here. Otherwise, they will be forced to resist the idea.
I think they should be educated on it. They should know more, that they just want to develop their community. They should be aware and know the rules attached to it. That's it.
In no time, this area, including the shanty settlements, will be pulled down with the hope of erecting a new settlement, one befitting of a community and a people.
The Electoral Commission is being warned against rushing to deploy new technology for next year's general election. Former Chairperson Dr. Kwadwo Afari-Gyan says failure to ascertain the operational capacity and accuracy of the supposed technology could create serious challenges for the country. His comment comes even as former President John Mahama piles pressure on the EC to publish findings of its investigations into the apparent hacking of its electronic transmission system during the 2016 polls. Dr. Afari-Gyan, who was speaking at a conference organized by the West African Election Observers Network, says the EC must necessarily reach a consensus with the political parties before introducing any new technology.
An election management body should not rush to introduce technology. Before my retirement, some fellow election administrators would say to me, oh, Ghana started introducing technology before we did, but we have now overtaken you. Only to learn not long after that we experienced very serious troubles with the new technologies. It is not helpful to view the introduction of technology in terms of a race for honors. Usually the EMB will evaluate the cost implications for sustaining the technology. It will try to ascertain the level of trust of the political parties and the elections in the new technology. And some that did not do any consultation with the political parties run into great difficulty. It's always important to try to dialogue with the political parties and explain to them exactly what is happening and the benefits that the technology will bring.
Dr. Farajang has also admonished election observers to refrain from focusing solely on the adverse activities of electoral processes.
I also wish to entreat you to, as far as possible, observe the voter registration period, being the 12th block of an election. I hope you will keep in mind that election observation is not a fault-finding, but a fact-finding activity. That stance facilitates collaboration between observer groups and election management bodies for the common purpose of achieving genuine democratic elections.
The Attorney General's office has been giving 3 weeks within which to file legal arguments at the Supreme Court justifying the appointment of Martin Amidu as special prosecutor. The court had earlier struck out Mr. Amidu as a defendant in the case, saying he ought to be defended by the AG. Former Deputy Attorney General Dominic Ayine filed the case following the nomination of Mr. Amidu, saying he is beyond the statutory age of employment into the public service. He wants the highest court to annul the appointment. There is more in the following report.
The special prosecutor has been in office for more than 12 months, with many looking forward to hear about his first major case. Even before that happens, there's one case that may well determine whether Mr. Amidu continues to hold office. Former Deputy AG Dominic Ayine argues the special prosecutor is beyond the retirement age of 65 and should therefore not be allowed to hold public office. Deputy AG Godfred Yeboah-Dami and lawyers for Dr. Ayine on Tuesday informed the court of their satisfaction with the documents they had filed on the matter. The AG's office argues the Office of the Special Prosecutor is a specialized agency. The Justice of the Supreme Court handed lawyers on both sides 3 weeks to make a case for why the court should agree with their position on the matter.
The Auditor General has described ZOOMLION Ghana Limited as a fraudulent company that has caused a drain on the scarce resources of Ghana. This was contained in a response filed with evidence after ZOOMLION appealed the surcharge and disallowance of over 180 million cedis they received from the National Health Insurance Authority for fumigation services. Manasseh Azuriawune, who has conducted a series of investigations into the operations of ZOOMLION Ghana, recalls aspects of his work relating to the fumigation contract. This was on News Today.
According to ZOOMLION, the contract is legal, and it says that the payments it received were all approved by state actors. It also presented some evidence of work done, and all of those came to, according to ZOOMLION, strengthening its case that it really had a contract and whatever payment it received was well deserved.
Do we know which specific contract this is and why the disallowance was issued?
We are talking about the NAMCOP, Nationwide Mosquito Control Program, and this is a fumigation or spraying contract awarded by the Ministry of Health, but the payment was made by the National Health Insurance Authority. Okay. And interestingly, there was no official at the National Health Insurance Authority or the Ministry of Health responsible for this contract. So when it came to monitoring, there was a bit of confusion as to who was actually doing what.
So ZOOMLION Ghana Limited says that, look, we got the contract fair and square. You have no rights to disallow this payment. On what basis is the Auditor General's office challenging this appeal by ZOOMLION?
The Auditor General has raised a number of issues, but the main one has to do with the fact that the same contractor, that ZOOMLION and its sister companies, have different contracts to do the same or similar work, that's the fumigation. So it presented as part of its reports or evidence of work done, works that have been carried out by different companies aligned to ZOOMLION or by ZOOMLION under different contracts. So first of all, we have the MMDA's fumigation contract. So every district, municipal or metropolitan assembly in Ghana pays ZOOMLION quarterly to undertake fumigation. Beyond that, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has over the years also awarded ZOOMLION and 10 of its sister companies contracts to do fumigation also at the assembly level. Okay. And if you take this third one, which was awarded by the Ministry of Health, it is also in respect of fumigation. So when we went across the country to do the robbing the assemblies investigation, we realized that the people at the assembly levels were not able to differentiate between the contract ZOOMLION was doing under NAMCOP, that's the Ministry of Health, and the contract the assemblies had awarded ZOOMLION.
We're taking a break here on JoyNews Prime, but still ahead. The Ghana National Association of Teachers is up in arms over the murder of a teacher at the ASIAKWA Salvation Army JHS. And the Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, Professor Ken Atefa, says 11 staff of the authority are being dismissed over various malpractices in the ongoing National Identification Registration exercise. We'll be back in a minute. Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, Professor Ken Atefa, says 11 staff of the authority have been dismissed for their involvement in a number of malpractices, including the registration of foreigners during the ongoing nationwide mass registration exercise. The police last week arrested a number of the NIA's officials for registering persons well after the official closing hours. Mr. Atefa, who was speaking on Joy FM's Super Morning Show, says the authority is also suspending 5 other officials. He assured the public the NIA will not shield its personnel found to have misconducted themselves.
Today, dismissal letters will go to about 11 people, and suspension letters will go to 5 people. The persons to be dismissed are largely persons who are engaged in registration of foreigners and
The Ghana National Association of Teachers is worried over the state of security for teachers across the country. According to General Secretary of NAT, David Ofori Achampong, the teachers' lives continue to be under threat, adding attempts must be made to protect them nationwide. His comments come after a Chebi District Court remanded to prison custody 6 young men alleged to have murdered a teacher at the ASIAKWA Salvation Army JHS, George Kwabna Buzumping Somwa. Maxwell Kudoko has more.
The death of the teacher drove scores of teachers in the Buakwa South Municipality, the national and regional executives of NAT, representatives of NAGRAT, CCT, and residents to the court premises to show solidarity. Presenting the case in court, the prosecutor, Chief Inspector Margaret Kunto, told the court that the suspects lied about their ages during initial police interrogations, claiming to be juveniles. However, the police had fresh evidence which showed that they were not juveniles. Peter Nimo, defense counsel for 2 of the young men facing trial, pleaded with the judge to grant them bail, but Her Worship Alice Efua Yirinchi declined the bail application. Lawyer Peter Nimo was not happy with the judge's decision.
If you are seeking bail for your client and you don't get the bail, your client feels very comfortable. You also don't feel happy. I do not. Yes, they are teenagers. They are juveniles. And I think that the way the court is handling them is not them.
Some teachers said even though the culprit had been remanded, they still feel unsafe in the community.
Definitely not secure at all, because if I look at the stature of the man beaten to death and I look at my stature, I definitely feel if I was the one that the attack was launched on, definitely maybe I wouldn't even survive for that week or so that the man survived. So I am not secure.
I'm highly disappointed, especially how the authorities, 10 years as a whole, how they handle issues pertains to town folks attacking teachers in their communities. Some happens in other jurisdictions, and because it doesn't extend to death or some tragedy, they just take it lightly, and later they just settle it out of court matter, and that's all.
The Eastern Regional Chairman of NAGRAT, Godwin Awuno, appealed to government to give the deceased teacher a state burial.
The youth took the laws into their own hands by giving him such a gruesome murder, using stones, sticks, stepping on his private part, holding or twisting his manhood and that kind of thing. We realize the man has really suffered. And that is why we are calling on the government to give Mr. Somo a state burial. At the same time, too, when you look at the wife, and these two cases, one is 4 years, one is just 4 months, the elder is 17 years. The woman cannot look after them. That is why we are calling on the government, through the Ministry of Education, the Education Service, to ensure that the government caters for the children of the late Mr. Somoa, and at least the government must come in through the Ministry of Education.
Meanwhile, the Ghana National Association of Teachers has been addressing agitated teachers. The General Secretary of NAT, David Frimpong Echampong, expressed worry about poor security for teachers across the country. He, however, called on the striking teachers to return to the classrooms while leadership of NAT works out ways to improve the security for them.
We are very much disappointed in the kind of environment so far as security of our members is concerned across the country, because this is not an isolated case. There have been cases where our teachers have been attacked and brutalized. I started the example of the female teacher who was shot at Adan about 4 years ago. That gentleman is still walking in the streets of Adan. So we are going to make an official position known to our employer and to the government of Ghana. We are saying that, look, we have kids who are prepared to write the exams in the next 1 month. We have not finished what we're supposed to do with them. We should exercise patience. We have had assurances from Assemblyman and from the community and from the police that they will give them a lot of protection.
The suspect remanded in prison custody are to reappear in court on the 25th of June 2019.
Have you ever wondered where the beef, chivon or mutton that ends up on your dining table comes from? Yes, there are a few sources, but the Upper East town of Boku has over the years earned a reputation as a center of the livestock trade. So what role do residents play in the value chain? JoyNews' Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin traveled to Boku to find out.
Until recently, Boku has for many years carried a negative tag of a conflict zone. Unknown to many people, Boku hosts arguably the biggest livestock market in Ghana. Cattle, sheep and goats bound for Accra, Kumasi, Tamale and other parts of the country. Boku's closeness to the border with Ghana's neighbors offers a strategic advantage. It takes a few hours to import animals from Burkina Faso. Some vehicles carry as many as 40 animals at a go.
On a good day, we could load about 10 vehicles, but on a bad day, we get 8 or 7. We charge 5 cedis for each animal.
Lorry station porters, referred to as loading boys, risk their lives to get these cattle to various parts of the country. Many of them have at one time or the other been injured by the animals.
Some of our guys have been injured by the animals. It is only until recently that the construction of the structure reduced the number of injuries.
Bashir Agubag is a cattle dealer.
You need to get someone on the vehicle to monitor the condition of the animals until they get to their final destination.
Every 3 days, if we don't get in at all, we're estimating about 3,000, 4,000 cows in the markets, which sometimes we take some to other different parts of the country. That is to Kumasi, Accra, Takoradi, Tema, and even Tamale.
Some 20 years ago, every activity, including loading of animals and vehicles, was done by physical strength until the construction of this facility recently. Livestock trade in Boko has been hampered by persistent depreciation of the Ghana cedi as against the CFA franc, with implication on profit margins for farmers and middlemen. Businessmen are, however, undeterred from the usual importation from Burkina Faso.
We are now running to Eid al-Fitr. The prices are gone up to Christmas, up to Easter, and then from Easter it ends. Because from Christmas we go to New Year and then to Easter, and then that's where the prices now start falling down. But as of now, currently, as I'm speaking to you, the prices of these animals are going very high. And then aside, the price of these animals goes very high because of the foreign exchange rates. Prices are ranged from 4,000 up to 7,000, 8,000, 9,000.
Cattle trade and Boko's proximity to Burkina Faso and Togo provide revenue boosts for the municipality. It, however, remains largely undeveloped, evident by poor roads. Residents are never excited about the situation.
As far as the road issues are concerned, is that all has to do with neglect. So I am calling on all politicians, if your government is on power, whatever good work the previous government has done, try to continue.
Until these roads are constructed, residents will continue to endure the discomfort with the attendant health implication. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
The Minister of the Savannah region, Adam Salifu Brahima, has reiterated government's unwavering commitment to tackling all developmental deficits, including the abandoned Tamale-Salaga Road project. The regional minister, who was on a working visit to his constituency, said the Salago Road project, which has become a priority for government, especially the broken Bunjai Bridge, will be fixed in a few months. Savannah region correspondent Isaac Nonya sent in this report.
With few weeks for the rain to set in, the Bunjai Bridge, which has already claimed the lives of 3 herdsmen, has become a greater source of worry to motorists and other commuters.
The difficulty is that this is an age road. And my brother, it has been a headache for all of us as citizens. If this road is constructed, it will be the biggest success of Salaga in the history of politics in Salaga. Very, very big history. Look at the road, look at the clouds. Anytime the cloud is formed, people are worried because the road will be cut off completely. It is the major road to Tamale.
But like this bridge, how do you maneuver here? And when you're coming in these rains,
it's highly risky.
Do you panic?
3 weeks, some 4 weeks back, 3 Fulanis were taken out when it rained heavily.
They were carried away by water?
They were carried away by the water.
At where?
Here, just this spot. Wow. Just this spot. When the rain falls, you see how the water is running. It's deadly.
The road is very, very dangerous to our health, especially when it is rainy season. Cars cannot cross. People will have to alight for the vehicles to maneuver their way out. We are afraid because very soon we need the road to be constructed for us. Actually, our lives is in danger.
The problem we have is just the road. So we are begging for the government to build a good road for us. We need to put that road. Please make, and our police even make that.
The Savannah Regional Minister later hinted that the routine rounds by road users traveling from any part of Savannah region through Tamale to Salaga would soon be a thing of the past. Until the return of Ghanaian Construction Limited to site, the Tamale-Salaga Road, period to 2016 general election, was awarded on contract to 2 construction firms, Ghanaian Construction Limited and engineers and planners, but the project suddenly came to a halt before the election and has since remained so.
Government don't use this road to campaign.
Sure?
No,
But
we will fix every problem in the country.
Notwithstanding that, isn't it a priority?
That's why we are here. It's a priority. As we are coming, you saw that Ghanem is on the road. They are judging MPP government as if we've been in power for 8 years. But ours is to fix it. We are in government, and we will do. We are moving heaven and earth to fix the road. Even though we have nothing to tell the people, especially this particular portion. We want to fix within the next few months before the rain set in. Rains, but when we get 3 rains, this place will be cut off. Sure.
President Akufo-Addo is warning he will not countenance laziness and unprofessional attitude from civil servants posted to the 6 newly created regions. The local government service has deployed staff to oversee administration of the regions. President Akufo-Addo is touring the Oti region, wants diligence from the staff. Addressing a derby of chiefs and people of Jasikang, the president said government will speed up development projects in the region.
They have a big responsibility. They are coming to be the foundation of a new region. We need extra diligence, extra commitment from them. And I want them to know that my eye is going to be on them to watch out that they do the work properly. Said everybody, shall be here or what? What was it? Yeah, and said everybody, Mama Sonte.
The Omahene of Jasikang, Nana Abraham Akpanja, commended the president for the courage in acting upon the petition to create the new regions.
As they would like to take this opportunity to humbly remind you to consider as part of this plan the Jasikang Bodada Lipe Lolobi to Hongwell Road and the Okaja Road to Kwame Krom Road, which can also serve as a short cut road from Yakuya to Jasikang and KJD. In the case of the Jasikang, Bodada, Lipe and Howell Road, this has provided and continues to serve as alternative route for travelers who find it very difficult to use the Howell Jasikang road. In concluding, Your Excellency, may I use this opportunity to assure you once again that I and my people shall continue to pray for you and your government, and that the Lord God Most High will give you long years and all relevant opportunities to enable you continue your good work.
Civil society groups are pushing for domestic funding to reduce the incidence of HIV/AIDS in the country. A UNAIDS report reveals the current statistics for HIV prevalence in the country is not good. 19,000 new cases were recorded between 2017 and 2018, a situation health experts say is worrying. At a global HIV conference in Accra on Tuesday, the civil society group said unless funding from various governments is increased, the prevalence would keep rising, making it impossible for countries to stop or reduce new infections by 2030 as targeted. Anodame has more in the following report.
300,000 people are living with HIV/AIDS in Ghana today. This number, according to the Ghana AIDS Commission, is worrying, considering the numerous interventions that have been put in place to curtail the menace over the years. The health experts from more than 40 countries who gathered today shared ideas on how to reduce the rising trend in sub-Saharan and West African countries. The Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Chireme Etuahini, mentioned Ghana is introducing a self-testing procedure as one of its measures to deal with HIV/AIDS.
Ghana AIDS Commission has taken a policy decision to introduce self-testing. And as soon as we are done with the paperwork this year, self-testing will start in Ghana.
Executive Director of NGO Hope for Future Generations, Cecilia Lodonu Seno, was not happy that civil society groups who mostly deal with the youth in deprived areas are not adequately resourced to assist in the fight against HIV/AIDS.
We can only achieve a lot if we have very robust, sustainable health systems. You all agree with me that our health system is not the best, especially at the lower level. At national level, we have the policies, we have the structures, but when it gets to the grassroots, we don't have the stronger health system, and the larger population is at the lower level.
First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo charged the Ghana Health Service to put in place a monitoring mechanism to track all children who are living with HIV/AIDS. She mentioned transmission from mother to child should not be killing children, and advised the service to do all that it can to avert such needless deaths.
Every child born to an HIV-positive mother should also be screened for HIV within the first 6 weeks of life and followed up according to national protocol. Any child who tests positive at any time during the follow-up should be initiated on antiretroviral therapy as soon as possible. I charge the Ghana Health Service to have a reporting system that identifies every single infant who is infected with HIV. This will fine-tune our program as we move towards the elimination of pediatric HIV. This is feasible and can be achieved.
The conference is expected to end with a communique on amending current guidelines as well as policies to meet the changing trends in dealing with HIV/AIDS. There will also be an adoption of innovative programs.
Basic School as the main champions of the maiden edition of Our Ladies of Grace Senior High School Practical Science Fair. They beat 11 other schools in the Ashanti region in a fierce contest in Kumasi. Love FM's Kosi Debra was there and has filed this report.
Each school, comprising a team of 5 students, gave a PowerPoint presentation on scientific principle or theory of a chosen topic. It was followed by a practical demonstration of a theory to produce everyday problem-solving results. They use real chemicals, apparatus, scientific processes and principles, leveraging creativity and team spirit. Opokwari Basics started with testing of soil drainage to establish suitable soil for cultivation of orange flesh sweet potato. Exhaustive explanation of scientific processes for manufacture of potato yogurt dubbed Potagot was a shine of the competition. Prempe Basic B came up with a remote-controlled car with impeccable maneuvering skills to pick second position. Himaya Methodist model stunned participants of Yenso carrier bag with solar-powered light and thumb charging port. It has the potential to address intermittent power cuts and attendant inconveniences. Water level detector by Prempe Basic C and Frobo International School's thief detector, among others, received high commendation. Other participating schools are Ultimatum JHS, Immaculate Heart of Mary, St. Louis Jubilee, Prempe Basic A, Roman Catholic JHS, Family First School, and Royal Christian Academy. Headmaster of Our Lady of Grace Senior High School, Stephen Anoche, believes Ghana needs practical science to develop.
We people label countries, advanced countries, medium developed countries, underdeveloped countries, third world countries. I know Ghana, we want to call ourselves a medium developed country, but we are nowhere near the advanced countries where they use practical science to solve their national problems. And this is what we want to at least start from Ghana.
Local manager Father Sylvester Frempong charged stakeholders in the educational sector to consider other competences. He says the educational sector, which explores ingenuity, creativity, problem-solving approach to learning and teamwork, is required to turn the country's fortune around.
Students now need to look at ingenuity and creativity. How creative and ingenious are our students? We have to look at problem-solving approach to learning, where students are to be taught on how to identify problems in our society and design scientific approaches to solving those problems.
Some of the participants spoke with JoyNews.
I have learned that in Ghana we have so many things in this country, so we must help to bring out those things.
I've learned to use local materials to make a project.
It taught me how best we could use science to solve problems of today.
Right, that's it. My name is Israel. You have a good night.